I'm Zeos Pantera, and I'm here to host a special edition of Mad Science Hour. Mad Science Hour was a show I put on my other channel, linked in the description, where I just did weird, mad, science-y shit. And it didn't always involve things to do with audio, but I think I've pretty much gotten to that realm now, so let's just dick with it. What the fuck is a HiFi-FAN? Not a person who likes high-fidelity audio, that's an audiophile. A HiFi-FAN is a fan designed to be as quiet as humanly possible so that you can enjoy music on speakers or with open back headphones without running an air conditioner, without just like windows open. Just need a breeze, And I found from a lot of looking that most fans just aren't quiet. No matter how quiet you think they are, you can make them more quiet. So we're gonna go over a couple things that I've built and theories and shit like that, and you could skip this video if you want, but if you're a lunatic, I find that this is much more satisfying than buying silver cables to go from your amp to your speakers, or cable risers, or hell, I'd even take this over some room treatments. Some room treatments are just bad. This is my newest revision. This Penis Chopper 9000, I'm sure you've all seen in my live streams. Of course you've watched me on Twitch. I know you people. So this was my friend's old fan when I moved in this apartment. He left it here. I took the front cage off to clean the blades because it's cat hair. And I took the back cage off to clean the back cage. And then I just shoved the blade back on and then removed the motor cover for reasons. And this has been sitting in my living room for 2 years, 2.5 years. And here's the thing. This is what the fan sounds like without the covers, but on high. That's a mildly annoying sound to hear when you're listening to music. It's like, I don't want to fuck hear that. So here's low. Put on low, Zeos. Well, that isn't much better at all, is it? Low is still pretty fucking high. So, the thing you do is you add a variac. Now, I'll link to this one. There's other variacs you could look at. But what this does is vary the voltage. And it looks super cool. It looks like something Frankenstein would use. And I could lower that voltage, and there's a guide on the front. And there's a thing on top, and we could lower this down. Let's try there. 60 volts. Now, a dimmer won't work. This is a big hunk of metal that's actually reorganizing the voltage. But listen now. Now this is on high. And because I'm a dedicated, smart, talented person, I've devised a system to show you what kind of wind we're generating. Look at that. This piece of toilet paper is flowing beautifully. And that is enough that you could sit on a couch or a chair in your office and just have a breeze without the noise. You're hearing my Noctua fan computer. All my windows are closed. It's just... there's nothing happening here. It's very quiet. I know the GoPro will adjust, so I know you can't hear this. And you can go slower and slower and slower because it'll eventually stop. Or you could bring it up just to the point where it starts making noise again. Right around 75 volts. Now, here's the thing. This fan's great. It literally does its job. And everyone's like, you're gonna cut your dick off. And I'm like, I know I won't. But that's not where this all started. This all started years ago when I bought this fireplace fan, which is a squirrel cage blower fan, excuse the dirt. And I would still be using this to this day if I didn't grease the goddamn bearings with something that was very naughty. And now it sounds like several hundred people are being ground to death inside of it. I also know how to get it apart to clean it, which is sad. But the goal of a HiFi-FAN is to be quiet and to move air. And people are like, I've had people say, oh, why don't you just buy like a 120 millimeter fan and run that? Or one of these little squirrel cage fans. And the problem with little fans is the same problem when you're talking about tower speakers versus little bookshelves. Most of the time, you have an excuse here. Mica RB42s. You have to push a little speaker wholly more than a big tower speaker. Big tower speakers, they do this, and they make sound real loud. Whereas that little RB42 has got to be fucking jamming it. So, when I went to build a better HiFi-FAN, I went to Lowe's and I picked up, I think this is an 18-inch indoor-outdoor. It doesn't have to be indoor-outdoor, but it was a big, thin fan. I just wish the base wasn't as ridiculous and it had height adjustment. So you don't have to use this fan. You don't have to use this fan, although this is probably the easiest design, is to find one on a pedestal that you could take off the front, that you can take off the back. You got to make sure you can do that. I will link a shit ton of fans in the description. Because here's what we're going to do. We're going to plug in my new big bad HiFi-FAN. We're going to set it to, well, let's set it to maximum. And it's on high. These fans all have high, medium, low. And I've showed you that high and medium and low really don't go low enough. If low on a normal fan took it to like 60 volts, levels of absolute silence, I'd be fucking fine with it. But none of them do. And I know because this fan also has high, medium, low. And that's high. And that might be a little bit too much of a breeze. So let's put it on medium. Now it's off. So there's low. That's low. That's fucking low? Are you fucking kidding me? $45 volts. You don't need to spin a fan very fast to make a good breeze. Lower? Let's go 40. The point of this video is, I'm hot, and I want, can you hear? Is there wind? Look at it. It's like a movie. Hello, how are you? And now this is a little less Penis Chopper 9000. It does have metal blades where this has plastic, but the thing about a fan when it's blowing towards you is it's this shape where it's pushing away. So it's pushing your hand away. It won't chop your finger off if you stick it in there. It will chop your finger off if you stick it in there, in the back. Which is why I'm going to, I'm not prefixing and I'm not postfixing, I guess I'm saying it in the middle of this video. Don't build one of these if you have children, or do build one of these if you have children, but your children aren't, you know, a little slow. Because, I mean, I have a fan from the 1940s. My grandparents had a fan, and basically the cage was about as secure as this one is. Now, you could see what I've done to the Utilitech here. The front cover comes off. The goal is to reduce as much resistance to the air as possible. And guess what this is? Resistance to the air. So just take it off. You could try to cut out some of these or bend them the way I did the back here. The back looked exactly like the front did here. This is a hub mounted fan blade, so it was mounted to the grill surface. So I pulled the motor off, I pulled the controller off, and I left the outside silver ring as you see here. And I left all these spiders that were keeping it strong. And then I left a little bit around here because there's really no fan turbulence happening. You want as little turbulence as possible. You want it to cut cleanly. They don't put cages like this around like boat propellers because the boat would go nowhere. It needs to just move air in a very unsafe manner. I'm sure UL listing would not apply for this fan anymore. But we've got it just pulling air and moving it forward at a very, very slow pace. I think the lowest I can go with this is like 20 volts. And I don't think this is actually going to do anything, but it looks damn cool. It's like one of those movie fans where they're doing an interrogation in a police station. It's just spinning like that and there's a light behind it. It's like, yeah, what's going on? I don't know. Where are the drugs, Mantega? Where are the drugs? She doesn't know. I'm just trying to give you guys ideas, all right? This is not a review so much as it is, hey, why doesn't anyone do this? Because I could develop power cords and speaker wires and different isobaric platforms for my speaker stands, or tell you to use DSD instead of, 24-bit FLAC because the sound difference. How about I'm just fucking hot and I want a fan and I don't want to have a loud fan? This is gonna do more for people than if you had 75x DSD. This is a physical thing. Something along this lines I'm probably gonna bring to Rocky Mountain. Just because I'm a lunatic. I'm the kind of lunatic the audiophile world doesn't have. They have lunatics. Ho ho! We are amongst the lunatics. But I'm just trying to be a little bit more practical. And I know that sounds weird considering I'm talking about a fan that could basically sever limbs if you put your limbs in them. But still, I think this is more useful. Back to 40. I think this is more useful than half the crap that people tell you that, oh, you're an audiophile, you gotta have this. I mean, magic rocks or a variac and a fan with a cage is missing. That's a fucking breeze, bro. You have no idea how happy I was when I finally completed it. And the way I did this cage, by the way, the one in the back, I just got a little hand snips, and I snipped one, and then I bent it, and it broke off here. There went 1, 2, 3, fell off. And then I clip. I clipped down here, and bent up, and they just fell off. I only had to clip one side. Took a rasp to it, took a file and filed it down. Left as much as I could structurally. And that's it. And again, it won't hurt you from the front because it's pushing out. It will hurt you from the back. So if you're gonna put this somewhere, make sure you don't put it anywhere with a cat's tail. My poor baby. Someone actually asked me after I showed them a picture on, I think tweeted this, is the cat gonna be okay? Yeah, it's not this high off the ground. I have it up here just for the video. And this particular fan, I liked the way, when I bought it, I paid attention because I could do this. And it doesn't get close enough to the edges that it's gonna cut my fingers off. Not that I recommend you putting your hand in there, but it's something to note. If this was real close to the edge, that would cause noise. This particular fan is really nice. No one makes a fan that... This would not be a video if people's fans, literally you put it on low and it just went, oh, quiet now. Those stupid 20-inch box fans, you know the ones I'm talking about, the ones you can get like CVS for like 20 bucks. Those are the loudest fucking things on earth, and I don't know why. Is it that hard to put a resistor in big enough to slow a fan down to like a breeze? I'm passionate about this. I make good videos when I'm passionate, and I'm passionate about keeping it fucking quiet. The loudest thing in my house right now is my NAS and my computer, and that's all Noctua fans. And the NAS is barely... I hear the hard drives going... So if you can improve your listening experience by making shit around you quieter, do so. And this is just my crazy fucking madman type shit. This is what Mad Science Hour was originally birthed for. For this shit like this. Look at it. Hello, Mr. Quiet Fan. How are you doing? So now this will go back into that corner. I'll open my windows again and I can sit on my couch and I could actually assess loudspeakers. That's part of my job. This is a write-off for me because I need a fan that I could run while it's warm and not hear it. I do not need this fan. This fan doesn't help me. I need this fan. And the bigger the fan, the more powerful it is by default, the quieter you can make it go while still blowing a shit ton of air. So there it is. Oh, I should point one more thing out. If you look at this fan here, you can see on this blade, I've got a wad of blue tack. Another thing that Mad Science Hour absolutely adores. And that's because cheap plastic blades, when you spin them real fast, they're fine. When you spin this real fast, it's fine. When you spin them slower, the weight imbalance of being poorly manufactured starts to take over and you'll start to get a shimmy. I think this will shimmy at like... I know this has a shimmy. It's a much better built fan, this one, than that one. But that one, if I pull that blue tack off and it unbalances, she starts doing the shake, and it's like, fuck. So I had to go and just apply this check it until I figured it out. So that might be something that you have to take into account. If your fan you get is not the highest quality, get some blue tack, and you just have to put it on one blade, turn it back up to where you were, see if it shakes less or more. Then you could actually, when I was doing this, once I figured out the blade that was helping the greatest, I started rolling it up and down the length of the blade to sort of find out where the best centrifugal force would balance it. So, ta-da! Yeah, this is one of those videos. Like always, the wallpaper will be in the description. The link to this particular Variac, I'm amazed I still found it because I bought this thing like 6-7 years ago, is on Amazon. It's not cheap, but how's this? I've even gotten Cheese, the man who runs the yard sales on Patreon, is my friend from South Dakota. He bought one of these because he was like, man, my fan is so fucking loud. And I'm like, I have the solution to this. So he spent his South Dakota bucks to buy a Variac and can't stop thanking me for it. Because even if you don't do the mods, even if you don't pull that off, you could still do this to a fan. You can still buy that and put it on fan. This is just the more extreme revision of it, where you're just trying to remove as much bullshit from the way of the air as possible. So, I think that's enough for today, right? Right? Something different, but so audio related-ish. Oh, another one fact that you guys might need to know. I don't know where it is, but this fan originally, since it's an indoor-outdoor fan, you have to be careful. It had a GFCI plug, which is a circuit breaker plug. And the problem with those is when power is lost or the voltage is too low, it will trip. So I had to actually cut the cord off of this, and I had an extra like PC cord, so I just cut the end off of that, and then I crimped them together and heat shrinked it, which made the cord much longer, which is nice. But a GFCI fan plug or a GFCI plug is bad for this because A, when you lower the voltage, it will go off, and B, if you shut off your Variac to shut off your fan, it will trip the GFCI. Those things are designed to never have power loss and never be weird voltages. So I recommend if you're going to look for a fan, either be prepared to replace the plug on the end or just buy one that doesn't have a GFCI. Again, this is an indoor-outdoor fan, which means I could put this outside when I'm barbecuing and leave it in the rain, which is interesting, but I probably wouldn't do that because I've done this to it. So that's it. Thank you all for stopping by. Links to a couple fans, links to a couple different styles of fans. Those, maybe some big utility fans. I spent over $130 on this son of a bitch, but I knew I was going to make a video out of it, and it looked cool. I'll link to some blower fans. Those are actually probably the best design, but they usually don't sit up on pedestals, but you won't have to like remove cages much. Keep your cat and shit out of it. And then a couple Variacs, and then that wallpaper, and then the Patreon, which I'm gonna claim the patrons supported this effort. So if you're leaving my Patreon this month, it's because I'm a crazy asshole who's spending your money on fans. Yeah, you should get to see this review early. A couple days, a week early, in case Variacs decide to get sold out. Because my patrons, if 100 people with my Patreon buy a Variac, there might not be enough Variacs left. So you get to see these reviews early. You get to ask me questions. If you message me directly on Patreon, I'll get back to you within like 2 weeks. It's real rough. But if you join for the $10 tier, that puts you in a private Telegram chat with 185 other people. That's a community on its own now. Like, I show up and there's 300 messages and there's 7 ats, and I will answer every single at when I see it. So there's that community. That's great, and those guys are amazing. And finally, the yard sale. Now, I would like to put something in the yard sale from this, and I don't think I can. My fan's busted. I'm not going to ship that fan. My Variac is my Variac. You buy your own Variac. So, I mean, really, the yard sales don't apply to this video. But there will always be things: speakers, headphones, DACs, amps, speaker wires, anime dockies. That guy's trying to park in a crosswalk. There's not a spot. That is not how spot make go. Sorry, my people in my town are insane. Yeah, so check out the Patreon. See these reviews early. Ask me questions. Or ask me questions directly with the higher tier. And then yard sale stuff. Good reasons. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the silence. I know I did.